We are in the heart of Peace Country, Grande Prairie, the home of Kelly Sutherland, chuck wagon champion. But this week we're looking for a world women's curling champion. And they have come from around the world. 12 of the best women's curling teams anywhere on the planet. And they're all hoping to become the Ford World Women's Curling Champion. Out of Kelowna comes Kelly Scott, wearing the maple leaf on her back. And just a few weeks ago, of course, in London, she was all Kelly Scott. Now here in Grande Prairie, hoping to be all Kelly Canada, the world. Yesterday it was Regina and the Tim Hortons Briar. Today it's Grande Prairie, Alberta, and the opening day of the Ford Women's World Curling Championships. Hello, Canada, and welcome to Grande Prairie. It's about a maybe 5.5 hour drive northwest of Edmonton, and we've been greeted by, yes, some bitterly cold temperatures, wind chill as well, but the weatherman says with the first day of spring on Monday, things will gradually warm up. We may even see some rain by the end of next week. This is the first of 7 days of coverage on TSN as we watch Kelly Scott and her Canadian Women's Championship team from Kelowna go against 11 other of the world's best curling teams. As we go inside, and yes, let's warm up a little bit. Here are Linda and Ray.
Well, Victor, last night Regina, Grande Prairie today. What's Vic say about that, Linda?
The most comprehensive curling coverage in Canada.
Absolutely. The Ford World Championships. This could be a very interesting week. There's some great teams here. Kelly Scott, the Canadian champion, finally got herself here after a couple of great years. The champion, the world champion, Annette Norberg, and the gold medalist from Sweden. They'll be tough.
They're actually their favorites, I would say, Ray. But right behind them, Debbie McCormick, past champ, and Doherty Norby. What can you say? She won her Worlds in 1990, 91, but she always seems to be there in the playoffs. Then let's look at the contenders. We have some teams that we know a little bit about. Kelly Scott, Scotland, they've been there before. And Switzerland, yes, 1999 World Junior champ, Ray.
And we haven't seen Andrea Shop for a long time, but she's a world champion, so you know she's going to be in there giving it her best. She's happy to be back. The rest of the teams we don't have a form on or a book on, but they won their countries, they're here, and they all are mechanically very sound.
It's Canada, Japan, next.
The 2006 Ford World Women's Curling Championship on TSN is brought to you by Ford, built for life in Canada. The 2006 Ford World Women's Curling Championship on TSN is brought to you by M&M Meat Shops, hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle. By Scott Paper Limited, proud sponsor of curling for 25 years. And by Tim Hortons Roll Up the Rim to Win.
It's the Canada Games Arena, part of the Crystal Centre. It was built for the 1995 Canada Winter Games and is home to the Grande Prairie Storm of the Alberta Junior Hockey League. 4 games are on the ice. And let's take a look at the games. We'll see China and Binyu Huang from Harbin for the second time. She went 4-7 a year ago against the two-time world champion Doherty Nordby. Annette Norberg, Olympic and reigning world champion, goes against Germany in a battle of former champs Andrea Schopp from '88. Our featured game, Japan-Canada, is on sheet C, and Switzerland, and that's at Tirinsoni, against the '03 champion Debbie McCormick from Madison. So Canada and Kelly Scott will open against Japan. It's time to meet the teams now. It's brought to you by True Value Hardware. Help is just around the corner.
My name is Yukako Tsuchiya. I'm skip of Team Japan. My lead is Chiemi Kamiyama, second Tomoko Sonobe, and third Junko Sonobe.
I'm Kelly Scott, the skip of Team Canada. Lead is Renee Simons, second Sasha Carter, third Gina Schrader, and we play out of the Kelowna Curling Club.
And the predetermined rock stones, and the rock colors for this, they throw stones. The rock colors here in this first end, Japan will play the red stones, Canada the yellow, and Japan has the hammer. So we're underway, these 2006 Ford Women's World Curling Championships here in Grande Prairie. And we're excited that you're with us. And getting us going here is the Team Canada lead, Renee Simons.
Well, just before we start, I will clarify that it's Kelly Wood from Scotland and Kelly Scott from Canada, because I didn't say that in the opening. I got my Scotland in with the Scot, so I don't want to pass over anybody. Kelly Wood from Scotland is here, and it's an interesting field going to 12 teams. We're going to see a lot of different kind of play, a lot of different styles.
Well, Kelly has had such a wonderful couple of years, Linda. She's just been knocking on the door, and she finally was able to close the door in London, Ontario, and win that Canadian Championship. She was the most consistent team there all week, and certainly well deserved of her victory. It'll be interesting to see, you know, when you go to, and you know this very well, having done it a couple of times, when you go to the World Championships, it is quite a bit different from going to the Scott or the Canadian Championships. There's that international flavor, obviously, but their approach to the game is a little bit different than the North Americans, and I always found that it was a little bit more intense in the sense that there was just well, maybe communication between the teams is not as easy, of course. So
no, it is a totally different feeling, and of course you do feel nerves. You're representing Canada now. You're in a big event. This is a nice arena full of people, but you're now representing your country. And that Maple Leaf puts a lot of pressure on whomever emerges from our Scott Tournament of Hearts and Tim Hortons Brier events.
There's always, and everybody wants to beat Canada. The team also that's experiencing the same scenario is the team from Sweden. Annette Norberg now is a gold medalist and a world champion last year. So I mean, she's expected to do well, so she's got that added pressure on her as well.
Now there's a flash from the lead, Chieme Kameyama. So Canada without the hammer, playing the Yellowstones here in the first, have a chance to split the rings here, Linda.
This is a very inexperienced Japanese team. It is one we have a bit of information from the coach, Ed Dezura, who's actually from Canada. But yeah, Victor, you're going to get a few mistakes from Japan, so I think Kelly Scott will probably keep it fairly simple. We'll try and get the mistakes, some open mistakes, and see if she can get force the single, if not steal, but not with risky style play.
Especially on this opening draw, it's you're not sure of the ice. It's always a little different in the opening draw. A good crowd on hand though, and I'm sure this building will warm up. It's a little bit cool. Notice Vic has his earmuff, his jacket on.
It's so cold my earmuffs aren't on my ears. That's how cold it is. This is Tomoko Sonobe.
You seem to drag all the snow everywhere you go.
Thank you.
You feel a little bit like Joe Bisfeld.
I did.
A little cloud over your head.
I do. Mind you, as I say, with spring on Monday, they're expecting it to get to around +1 and above for the rest of the week. And as you mentioned, some rain, if you can believe it. It's extreme temperatures this time of year.
I'm not believing it.
Until it happens.
That's right.
9.5.
Sasha Carter.
We had the nice overnight flight last night, guys. It was
very nice.
pleasant flight.
Compliments to the pilot and co-pilot from Peace Air, who took us from Regina through Edmonton and on here. They were very helpful, and we appreciate everything they did. Peace Air.
The most difficult part of the flight was keeping some of our crew out of the cockpit. We thought they should be flying the plane.
Made us all just a little nervous.
Now, one thing we've learned over the years in watching the Japanese when they first came, and you know, your good friend Wally Ursulak, I think, shot over there for a number of years, Ray, is that they know they physically,
Hall of Famer, excuse me, Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, you're right, can throw the stone there. You're not going to beat them there. So it is, as Linda says, come down to their inexperience and maybe not knowing the game as well. Is that what's going to trip them up, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I did talk to Ed Dezura, and this was an interesting team, Vic, because it's not the team that went to the Olympics. It's a team that was ranked lower in the country.
Right.
And there is a playoff, and there were 12 teams in that playoff. And this team emerged, and it was a little bit of a surprise. So what happened was that Ed spent a lot of time with them in Canada trying to get them to understand, but then there's of course the language barrier. He had to bring in a translator, so there's that aspect of it. And the most difficult part, Vic, is that you can teach some rules and strategies, but Ray, we know that it's hard to teach the assessment as the ever-changing house emerges, the plan Bs, the factors that go into making a switch in your plan when it doesn't work.
Well, exactly, Linda. You know, I've spent a number of years in Japan myself, teaching, and as Ed, I'm sure, told you, he's absolutely right on. The hardest part is explaining all the little things that really make you into a winner. Yes, you can talk about the corner guard. Yes, you can talk about the tapping rocks back and those kind of things. And then you do worry about the translation of that. And I have had incidents in the past where one in Switzerland and one in Japan where the translator, who was not a curler, really wasn't giving the right information to the class. And I found that after the fact. And so it's difficult, but I don't know. Japan should be, in my opinion, a little more advanced than they are. They've been at it a long time now. I'm always a little disappointed. My good friend and your good friend, Kei Sugihara, has spent a lot of time trying to help develop the Japanese curling, and there have been many very qualified instructors go over, but they seem to get to these events and just they don't have that killer instinct for some reason, that finishing touch. And you have to play against the best in the world, really, to be the best in the world, as far as I'm concerned. Not that there aren't a lot of good teams here, but the percentage of top teams in the world are right in this country here.
You saw some very nice execution there, and that's what we're talking about. Technically, the team plays well. That was a very nice, almost a double, but hit the second stone over, and now it's not easy for Canada to keep the stones separated.
Sweden is a tremendous example of a country and a team. This team, they've had great teams in the past. Elizabeth Gustafsson, and now Annette Norberg, Pia Lindholm. They really work hard at their curling and have taken all those steps, extra steps that have made them great champions. Remember, Annette lost a final to Colleen Jones a number of years ago. She was a very defensive player, Linda, and all of a sudden she took it upon herself to learn how to play the offensive side of the game, and she's a gold medalist and a world champion. So I think Japan could do the same kind of thing. They just have to spend a little more time playing against the top teams and being in those top competitions.
Kelly Scott with her first avoids the jam, but leaves the stones for a possible double, Linda?
It is close enough, Vic, to play the double, or you could hit and roll in front of the other one. I think the final thing to mention in any team in this competition and how they might be successful is it's hard to believe until you've played the best, as you said, Ray, and been successful. So some of these teams like Japan just don't have that confidence from having beaten these teams before in competition.
This is Yukako Tsuchiya, and they curl out of the Kurosawa Curling Club. Japan with the hammer playing the red stones here in the first. Canada line 2 without.
Was a chance for the double. Now a hit for Kelly for 2.
Well, to lie 2, Japan to playing the red stones has the hammer.
Right on. Thank you very much.
It's okay.
2 days in a row.
I know.
Those air flights.
I know.
I think it was the welcoming committee that met us at the airport.
Yeah.
Chance to lie 2, as Vic has alluded to.
You can count on me. I'll just keep you honest here,
Well, that's your job. 20 years ago we started
getting
that.
tougher all the time.
Yeah, well, that's my age.
Close.
So a nice start here by Kelly. Now, would she risk cutting it, hitting it thinly, trying to chop it outside, roll away, or would she be comfortable sitting right there?
Just happy, hitting, sitting two, and forcing some nice shot for one.
That's a nice spot, really. Comes up just a bit.
And although we're probably going to see an open game, it's not bad for Canada either. As we said, that's their first exposure as a team to this kind of environment. So they'll probably have a few nerves to get going.
It's different. Kelly's here representing the country. There's no question it's different. It's no longer just a BC team. It's a Canadian team.
Final stone here in this first. Canada line 2.
Just going to draw, Vic. She could hit it and stick.
Piece of the 8 foot. Kameyama and Tomoko Sonobe are the front end.
Well, we do know this ice is fast. Well, no brushing, but it's there.
For a single is Japan, and Yukako Tsuchiya make the draw against 2. Japan with the early lead. It's the opening draw. The Ford Women's Worlds on TSN. It was originally built for figure skating in the Canada Games of '95. Now it's a hockey rink, and of course this week it's the site of the World Curling Championships. Time to read the ice now with Ray, and it's always a little different on the first day, isn't it?
You're right, Vic. It's the first draw. I mean, we really don't know how it's going to run. There's about 3.5 feet of curl. You can see right across. It may get to 4, Tim Yo was telling me. Now, the key here is the curl is pretty consistent all the way down, not the big late finish that we saw last week in Regina. The other thing you have to be careful of, we know with these stones that it runs very straight with weight, a little bit more movement than Regina. The key to ice like this is the brushing. You've got to be careful with your brushing. It's a good surface, and we'll see how it develops through the week as the crowds and the weather changes.
As we go to the second, and Canada playing the Yellowstones with the hammer after the Japanese opened with their single, and it's the only point scored. All of the other 3 sheets were blanks in the opening end.
That's pretty common on the opening draw. The Canadians, especially the women's curling, Linda, you see a little more caution in the early draws.
Oh, I think for sure they're still getting used to the ice a little bit, and it is overwhelming. I don't care how many times you've played, even the experienced players. The first time you walk out in the ice in the morning, there's the opening ceremonies, there's all the flavor of the event, the environment. So I think everybody starts a little cautiously, but we do have some aggressive teams in the field for sure. Sweden being one of them, as you've mentioned, have changed over the years. So we will see rocks in play.
I think for Canada too, Linda, as we look past the shoulder of Jerry Richard and the coach, and Michelle Allen, who is the 5th player, right down behind the scoreboard. The Canadians may be on guard not to look past this Japanese team, because their second draw this evening is against Annette Norberg in Sweden.
You have to really watch that, Vic, that you don't look ahead. And yes, these aren't teams we know. As we mentioned in the opening, the field, there's a few teams we're not very familiar with. They're not as experienced. They haven't found success. But you're right. As soon as you lose a little focus, that's when you let down. That's when you don't execute, and that's when you might lose.
And I think there's a little danger of Kelly playing it too wide open with a team like this, because that's definitely their comfort zone. There's no question that Norberg is a favorite here, but there are some terrific teams that play offense. Debbie McCormick loves lots of rocks in play, so
9 Eastern time tonight, 6 Pacific. It'll be Canada against Sweden, and Norberg, the reigning world champion, and of course the Olympic gold medal winner from Torino. I like that point of yours, Ray, because I think if you put the stones in play, you complicate the game for Japan, something that they may not be used to as much as Kelly Scott might be. That might be a benefit to the Canadians.
Well, but if you know Kelly Scott as we do, and I've known her for a few years, she actually doesn't have a huge comfort with a lot of rocks in play until she has the hammer and is very familiar with the ice. She tends to play the beginning of games opens as well. So I agree with Ray. I wouldn't leave it forever, but this is not a pattern that is not typical for Kelly to start an event, to start a game.
No, and to be honest, I think rightly so.
I agree.
It's her first time to a world championship. She doesn't really know what to expect.
2.5. Line's good.
And then she does have to, and that's a good point you made, Vic. You don't want to be looking past this Japanese team to tonight, because the best team in the world, women's team in the world, you're playing this evening. And she's proven that.
Yep.
World championship last year, gold medal this year. Goodness, what more does she have to do? They're the best. There is no air conditioning system in the building. I talked to Tim about that, and he said if it gets we get humidity outside, he says it seems to follow me. He said, you know, this is great, there's cold weather outside today. He says, but every time I go someplace, he said it seems to end up at the end of the week raining, you know. So
Nice come around for Japan there around the corner guard. Let's take a look at the ice times. They're brought to you by M&M Meat Shops. Linda, hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle.
Well, we're learning about the ice as well as speed. 14.5 seconds hog to hog is what we expect. 9 for a hit and 16 for a guard. But that's a little guess. We did see a draw in the opening end, and it was around that 14.5 second mark. That is fast ice, so you have to watch your drive from the hack on those draws.
Back line. Back line. Oh, never. Back. Back. Trying. Don't touch.
you can see even with that quiet weight, very little curl.
And just enough to punch it out the other side of that corner, sitting full in the 12.
One thing that you'll like about this ice, though, Mr. Ratter, is how lively the houses are. That's kind of your favorite. So there'll be lots of rocks spinning, and some of them even going backwards. Maybe.
Much like my driving this morning in the snow, backwards and spinning.
Driving with you is an experience
It
each
is.
time I get in the car. Vic thinks he's in the Daytona 500 every time he gets in the car. He just turns into, you know, that cartoon, that Disney cartoon with Goofy coming out of the house nice and quiet, and then all of a sudden gets behind the wheel and turns into a monster.
A different guy, yeah.
Now there's an example of the fast ice, a little bit of extra push, and it just does not slow down.
And out the back, and it's a break, of course, for the Canadians who have the hammer here.
Bite the top 8. Hey. Let it work. 7, 8. 7. Room. 8. Looks like lots.
Still 2 left.
9.
Still 2 left, bro.
Okay. Okay.
That one even fooled the brushers. The team from Canada uses that system of zones, and they were calling out 7, 8. That would have been back 8 foot. That slides all the way through. Another chance for Japan to split the house.
Off, 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 ありそう。オフ、オフ、オフ。
Junko Sonobe.
あるの、あるの。
ずっと
あるの。
そう。Okay.
We'll start our updates. Mentioned that all the other games were blanks in the first end. This is Sweden against Germany in a key first draw matchup. The reigning world champion, Olympic champion Sweden, Annette Norberg, against the 88 world champion Andrea Schott from Garmisch-Partenkirchen. And it is Germany with the hammer. Final stone from Schott, and she is facing 4.
Still 7. Finish it when you can. Line's decent.
go now. Yep, finish it. Go, go, go. Right in.
Nice shot, hangs it on the edge of the 4T line and gets her single point. So Germany and Schott take the lead on Norberg.
Good shot. Okay.
It is. Just a lot more glide, I think, hey?
Appears to be a little bit faster.
Glide wasn't there. Yeah. It's, I'd say the glide is there, like,
相手それでも絶対残してきてるじゃんか石が速いから本当なんだけど
That stone didn't curl as much as they hoped, but even if it had stopped a little shorter, it would have been harder to remove. It's level with the red stone. It means it can be tapped out.
Like if I threw tight yesterday, we're getting probably T-line.
Very nice to lie 3. Canada with the hammer.
Chance to get a little hit and roll here, though, Vic.
Right on to
That would set up the possibility of scoring 2.
Like a 10 there? I don't think it'll take off.
Kelly decided to leave the corner guard up even when Japan got around it, and often we see run backs, but she tried to make the come arounds and they weren't successful. But here's a chance to use that guard by getting the roll instead.
Give it a chance.
She's going to throw it to the brusher. She said, we'll give it a chance. Just establishing the weight.
From the look of the ice, I think you're going to see a lot of the control weight. We mentioned 9 seconds for a normal hit. Kelly's playing at 10. That's a very controlled way to try and get the curl and bring the brushers into the shot.
It's got a curl. 9.5. Come on.
Kelly Scott in her first here in the second.
good throw.
And sits right there.
Stand straight down the sheet.
Yeah.
Done.
Good weight, 10-3. So,
Was it?
yeah.
Okay. Just kind of seemed like it wasn't going to get over any more than that.
Well, let's try and relate it a little bit to what we saw in Regina when you said that it ran very straight with somewhat up weight. You put this brush right down. Is that an indication we might be saying the same thing here?
Well, the stones that we use nowadays have a tendency, all of them, these are different stones obviously than the ones that they're using in Regina, but the stones we use nowadays all have the tendency to, when you step the weight up, to run pretty straight, Vic. And this is very quick ice. So. And she's throwing a little bit more weight. Great direction. It's a very nice shot. You're going to have to get some kind of a roll or draw against it.
No flop.
Just a touch.
Same
Hardly.
kind of thing, eh? We didn't even touch that other one.
Interesting last end. Japan was looking at 2 and chose to draw.
10 again.
Okay.
Kelly cannot hit this on the nose. She has to get a little bit of a roll, and she has to be careful not to jam it.
Hair more, Gina. Hey.
Kelly Scott and Canada facing 3 with her last stone here in the second, looking for the hit and needs a roll towards the center line. Needs to catch the 8-foot.
Yep. Yep. Hard. 3. Well, clean. Yep. Clean.
Simons
Yep.
and
Yep.
Carter
Clean, 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 clean.
with Schrader culling line. And that's a perfect throw. Perfect hit and a little roll for Canada here in the second.
One yellow. Good shot.
スだね。
Well, we want to offer congratulations to Jean-Michel Menard in Quebec after they won the semi-final earlier today at the Tim Hortons Brier in Regina. 7-6 the final. A little closer than I think many people expected. It was 5-1, Linda, after 3 ends for Quebec, but Nova Scotia and Mark Dacey kept it close and nibbled away. So Sunday's final in Regina will be a rematch of the last night's 1-2 game in which Glenn Howard won that. So it's Ontario against Quebec for this year's Brier Championship. And all of us from TSN wish the best of luck to both teams.
Well, they were the best two teams there all week, and the most consistent for sure there all week. Glenn has looked fantastic, and his team, and I was really impressed with Jean-Michel Menard's team and the things they did. They're going to have to curl, their best to beat the hot Glenn Howard, but a curling game's a curling game.
And they're two probably most aggressive teams and very united teams. We talked about that a lot at the Brier, how staying together through all the things that happen in a championship are so important. And that will be the same here at the Women's World Championships. It's teams that stick together, even if things don't go well in one end or one game. At the end of the week, you'll still be there.
We're tied 1-1 as we play here in the third. Japan playing the Red Stones with the hammer.
Yep. もう逆にもういいよいいよ。
ごめん。10。
Sasha Carter.
Sorry, Vic. It's always interesting to see the teams from the Pacific Rim because they all do come to Canada to train and actually come to British Columbia quite a bit. You see clubs, quite a few clubs in British Columbia to find ice time. And Ed Desura, the coach of this team, was telling me that he found ice for 10 consecutive days, Ray, and they spent the entire day at the club because when you can find a facility, whether it be in Canada or anywhere in the world, you want to get your best use out of it. So virtually all day, every day, they would come for the 10 days and go through all the areas of preparation, tactical and technical. And he said it was amazing to see the development, even over that short period of time, when you could commit to just being out there and training.
Yeah, there are very few facilities in Japan. Couple now in the north and Hokkaido area, and then I think there's a new one down south. And it's slowly growing, and there's been a real boom in the USA. So I think that you're going to see more and more facilities crop up, and as a result, the numbers of curlers in each of those countries is going to improve. It's going to take a while, but
line's good. Yep. 3-4. We'll get 4. Come on, all in. Keep it going.
Wow.
Good brushing.
Very nice brush to drag it as far as they did. Center line, top 12. One thing the teams all will tell you, the international teams, is they love coming to Canada because of the popularity of the game. They knew that they would come to Grande Prairie, that they'd find a building with almost all of its 2,800 seats filled. We played some of these a year ago in Paisley. It was a little difficult, some of the teams were saying, in a curling club, and they had their problems with ice. And this is where the game is appreciated, and I think those international teams who come here appreciate that fact, and they know they're going to play in front of some nice expectant fans.
Well, on great ice to start with. It's and we have over a million curlers. This is where curling is at in this country of ours.
Room. Close. Let it work. Gotta curl a bit. Clean. Yep. Clean only. Hard Renee, all you can go. Right to center. Shot.
This community really has gotten behind it, Vic, and it was interesting. I was in the lobby this morning and I heard the person at the front desk speaking German to somebody else who had come in from obviously either Germany or Switzerland or somewhere where they were speaking High German, and it was great to see that because you don't often have those various languages available, but they're very welcoming here.
Vic, I have to tell you, Linda and I went down to the met in the lobby at
Oh, Ray, you're not going to tell.
at 10 to 12 or 10 to 1 or 10 to 12, whatever it was at the time. And of course we you know, I said, well, how are we getting there? And she said, well, I don't know, there's I'll call a cab. So just as soon as she goes, she calls the cab, and the cab company said, gee, I'm sorry, we're all booked. We can't get there for maybe the next 20 minutes or half an hour.
Because the weather.
So now we go to the desk. Yeah, the weather is tough. So we go to the desk together, and we say, how are we supposed to get to the arena? We can't get a cab. Is there a transportation?
No, I know where this is going.
And she just pointed. She says, well, it's right there.
Across the
street.
That's very funny.
So now,
We did get in very late, and it was dark.
Yes, it was. Your eyes are half closed at 4 in the morning. It is a little difficult. Yes, very good though. I like that. That's a good story to take.
so we walked.
Yeah, that's nice.
The
Yeah.
poodles walked.
Yes, they did. Very good. Up and down the sheet. They hold the shooter. They did. Right on the edge of the 12. Japan with the hammer in this 1-1 tie. Where's the arena? That's right over there.
And she just casually
It's
went,
that
well,
giant building across the
it's
street.
right there, she said.
That's very funny.
There you go.
I told her to call that cab company back and give them hell and say, okay, we'll get somebody else. And we walked over.
Of course, the name Poodle is the affectionate name given to the three of us by the others
The others.
on the crew. Here's a hit on the edge. We'll have to see how that runs.
Hurry! Hard! Go, go, go. Right up. Every inch, guys. Every inch. Go, 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 go. Right up, right up, right up.
It did move a little bit.
Shot. 9-9.
Kelly throws with good rotation, so it does hold its line pretty well.
Nice weight, 9-9.
She's had a wonderful couple of years, Kelly Scott, and well known in BC for a long time, but it is only the last 2 years where she's really broken through. And amazing in her first year, made the playoffs at the Scott Tournament of Hearts, and then, of course, the runner-up at the Olympic trials.
Dang it.
They're good brushers. They're nice and tight to the stone. Hold their brushes nice and high. That's good brushing. Good brushing team. And mechanically, in all aspects, they look very strong, Linda. We'll see if they can, how they play when they get mixing it up and get some rocks in play.
So we mentioned this is the first appearance for the Japanese skip, Tsuchiya.
Here.
You see, she won the Pacific Championship, so that got her the right to be here. So I think we were obviously more familiar with Ayumi Onodera, who had been here to the Worlds a number of times.
And now with the 12 teams at the championship, you do get the 2 berths out of the Pacifics. They do play off for a gold medal, and yes, Japan beat China for that gold medal, but both teams did come here for the World Championships, and instead of 7 teams out of Europe, we now have 8. And with Canada and the US, that brings the complement to 12.
Yesterday, kind of.
Yeah.
Second appearance at the Worlds for a Chinese team. And this is Bingyu Wang from Harbin,
Curling.
playing Dorothy Nordby
Good.
from Oslo,
Back 12
the two-time
works.
world champion. And
Yeah, line's really good.
as long as you and I have been together, we probably have seen Dorothy Nordby, but she's maintained that she's, I think to the world's obviously what Colleen Jones is to Canadian curling. She's just perennial. The hit and the roll, and will she sit in time? She does for her single, so China opens with one in the third.
One of your favorite chants we just heard from the audience, Vic? Hop Suisse.
The Japanese made their first appearance at the Worlds in 1990 in Västerås.
Oh, yep.
That was the year of Eddie Wernick, Allison Goring, thinking just off the top of my head if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
And you heard it from Yukako. That was a blank.
Nice ball.
Well, we showed you earlier the one for Germany and Andrea Schopp when she hit against four. This is the final stone for Sweden, and Annette Norberg, the reigning world champion, and more recently the Olympic gold medal winner in Torino. Eva Lund, Katharina Lindahl. And this is a draw for two, and slides it by the stone, avoids the stone top four for a couple. Sweden with a 2-1 lead. As we welcome you back, Sweden, Switzerland, and the U.S. as they play in the third, 1-0 for the U.S. And this is the Swiss skip, Silvana Tirenzoni from Dubendorf against the U.S. And Debbie McCormick, the former world champion of 2003 from Madison, Wisconsin, makes the draw to even it at 1-1. The Canada Games Arena, part of the Crystal Center here in Grande Prairie, Alberta, the home of Grande Prairie Storm of the Alberta Junior Hockey League. League champions a couple of years ago. In fact, Grande Prairie hosted the Centennial Cup, which is the Junior A championship.
I wonder what that was. I wonder what that was.
It's a nice facility. It seats about 2,800.
That was a very nice, clean release, but we are noticing with this straighter ice, you have to be not just clean, you have to be right on target. Any slight outward movement, but also any wide movement as far as the line of delivery goes, and it will not come back. Nice shot.
Great shot. Nice roll. I like the turn she played too. Gave the brushers a little chance with it. There's always a little bit more curl from the inside out than there is from the outside in when you step the weight up.
Canada's hoping to get some a little bit more play going with the soft shots to see how Japan responds. They put up the guard, wanted to try and see also how the in-turn move, and here's a good look at it.
Hard line. 6. Hard. 6, 7. Room. 7, 8. Let it finish. Okay, you can go. 7. Let it finish. Let it finish. Right on it. No bump. No bump. Great shot, Sash.
Sasha Carter right down on top.
Lovely shot. You can just see though, even with back 4-foot weight, that a little it curls. And this is consistent with kind of the opening draw. I'm sure that Tim Yo will get a little more curl into it as the week goes along, and he gets a little more better feeling for this building. Because it's only curling a couple of feet right now. Another nice shot.
Red stones are in a really nice spot. The one top four, it's not shot rock, but it can be tapped up. So this is a guard. It's trying to prevent Japan from using that stone.
Clean, line's nice. 3, short. 3. Room, you gotta bring it up when you can, not in if you can. Line's good, just clean. 3. Short if we can. Sit down. Okay. 15-9. We kind of have to guard for a little, eh?
Yeah, I like that.
This is the most complicated end we've seen so far as we play here in the fourth. Is this the kind of thing you were referring to earlier, Ray? About getting the Japanese into some more stones in play?
Yeah, well, Kelly threw the first one short, which started all this off. Here's a little inexperience here. I think I would have played the double peel on the front two, Vic. Hit the high one and tried to peel them both off. Even if you sit there, then your rock is there to run back, because the rocks on the forefoot are pretty close to each other. That's just a little inexperience right there. It just showed right there.
Yeah, it is the double guard that's the biggest problem, because right now you can come at that shot rock on your own, and you could also try and set something off on the other side, but it's this double guard prevents you from trying either of those kinds of shots. And Vic, as I was talking to the coach, he was saying the hardest thing in curling to teach, and he's right, in strategy, is a plan B, a shot that's not quite working, and then trying to make it work by doing something a little different, brushing it differently perhaps, or just as the environment changes, the rock situation starts to alter. There's just not enough formula and theories and rules to give people. You have to be constantly adjusting when the rocks end up in a different spot. And those are the kinds of things that are hard to teach, that experience is the best teacher for.
What we're saying here is that this is the shot to play here. Play this here onto this, getting the double peel, getting this out of the way, getting this out of the way, and that opens up everything in front.
Oh. 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 Yep. Yes. Okay.
As far as execution goes, they are making this shot perfectly the way they have called it.
Yeah, you can just see if she had played that same weight on the other side and made contact with both the yellows. Now there's only, Kelly has to guard one situation or make a decision on what she's going to do with the top red that's in the forefoot. So that's just it's just an example of just a little inexperience.
We're playing third stones here in this fourth of a 1-1 tie, and this is Gina Schrader.
What do you got? About even. 4. Clean. 5. We can go behind. No. No, it's not curling, so stay close. Yep. Tuck it around. Tuck it around. Go. Hard. Okay, good shot.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was. Okay, but I think a little less. They're like a little more. Oh.
Come too deep.
Okay, well, it's good that.
Well, it curled enough that it's not so easy for Japan, but they are going to now, Vic, play the shots with a little bit of weight to move them around. And with the two reds in the house, and if the shooter stays, Kelly will have to start to worry about the number of stones in the rings.
Off. Bumpa. Off.
Junko Sonobe.
いいよ、黄色には当たるから割るわ。前割って前割って。まだまだまだ。来ない来ない。
This is a lot more weight than she had called for.
Yeah. Like 2.5, 3 at the most?
Yeah, enough so they can't double the two. Another guard.
Yep.
Probably in tight enough so there's no double on the top two guards.
Hey.
2.5 kind of. Pretty fast.
So where does she
Yeah.
want this one?
Like you can throw easy
Just playing the
guard.
guard.
Yeah.
It's just the brushers now have to make sure that you don't set up something right beside the other guard, Vic, because we see now that Japan isn't quite getting the double peel, so you don't want to set it up so that you give her that without her having to even worry about it.
She had 2 golden opportunities to play the double peel and chose not to, so,
She's unlikely to now, I guess. That's true.
well, unless she has nothing else, I
Line's
guess.
good.
4. Higher the better. 4.
Okay. Okay, you want to
Finish
tuck
it.
it?
It's only 3.
Okay, well then, whoa. Even.
Whoa. Whoa.
Great shot. Nice shot.
Okay,
Shot.
that's good.
Nice shot.
ウェイトは
2つ狙
ないのでいいんじゃない、
こっちから。
今こっちから来たから
すごいいいね。確認できるから。わかりやすい。
Do you hear that phone ring, Vic?
No.
There was a phone ring next door here.
から2つ割る
Could be the cab company. Saying we need a ride.
They're waiting for you over there. Looking for the double here.
Well, I think they were looking at the double peel, Vic, but there's also the run back available.
Okay.
And it's very straight here, so I'm not exactly sure what she'll end up with.
わわわわ。
Tsuchiya.
That's what she called, the double peel. Trying to get the two, but she knew she'd leave the shooter somewhere out there.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because she played that, what, 3 rocks ago. And then
Kind of like
it would've
having
changed
another
the
one in
situation.
the way. Yeah, like she's got that run, hey.
I don't know, because then she could double that. And then just a biter out there.
Okay. You want to
Like
half tuck
that?
it or
Yeah,
no?
I think so, because that's a hard tap, right?
Yeah.
Straight on the yellow. What do you think about there?
Cover half of the red and
Sorry, partner, but
Yellowstone. I
Yeah.
realize.
I guess center doesn't kill us. Do you
Sorry.
want to go hair more ice?
The nice thing for Kelly is the redstone out in front impedes
can
the
just
path to the
kinda
redstone top
Tuck
4.
around that guard.
The bad thing, as she's just saying, is it also
Shorter
can be
the rings
used to
again
run
would be
onto
really
the
nice.
redstone. So she'd like it in a little bit and behind,
There
a
you go.
corner behind that redstone to
Even if
block
it's
the
short
run back.
piece of the yellow, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
Just tuck it in around a little bit.
and by tucking it around a little bit takes away the run back, as well as, I mean, she can't, if she does tuck it, then can she get to the nose enough to
Line's
make
nice. You got room.
It'll be tough, Vic.
that one as well? Or
Line's
Bring
good.
it
What do you
up.
got?
Bring
What
it
do you
up.
got?
final stone for Canada here in the 4th
Hard.
in a 1-1 tie.
What do you got?
Hard.
Three,
Right up.
three.
Right up. Right up. Go. Go.
A
Go.
little more. You can tuck. Go, go, go. Okay.
No.
Sweet. Good shot, Kelly.
It's a pretty good chance here.
Oh, yeah.
こっちから行くって。 芯でいくよね。1ステイでもいいもんね。
失敗しても1点だからね。
1ステイ。
この芯よりちょっと外だけど、まあ芯でも行くよ。
芯でも行く。
行くよ。
大丈夫。
多分ここで今日
Great opportunity for a possible three.
ゆっくりめ。普通にノーマルでいいよね。ノーマルでいいよ。
Nice job by the two Japanese players in lining up the spot. That's what you should do. Go out front, look at the spot on the rock to drive it back into the red-yellow situation.
もうあれピンにさ。
So now the only thing left is to try and throw it cleanly.
ノーマルで。
はい。
Yukako Tsuchiya from Kurosawa has a chance here. Double raise for a possible three. Did they hold it? No, it overcurled on her, and it will be a steal of one for Canada here in the fourth as they escape. Canada takes a 2-1 lead. Let's meet the two teams that throwing lead stones for Japan is Chiemi Kameyama. It's Renee Simons for Canada. The seconds are Tomoko Sonobe and Sasha Carter. Throwing third stones, Junko Sonobe and Gina Schrader. And the skips from the Kurosawa Curling Club Japan, Yukako Tsuchiya. And from the Kelowna Curling Club, Kelowna, BC, this is Canada's Kelly Scott. We'll continue with our updates on this opening day, opening draw, the Ford Women's Worlds from Grande Prairie. And it's 1-0 China as they play in the fourth. And this is the last rock from the Norwegian skip Dorte Nordby of Oslo. Two-time world champion, 1990, 91. Actually had a pretty good run going at the Olympics as well. Never quite sure, though, with Dorte. This may surprise some people, though. She had the hammer, could have thrown it into the boards, and drew for one. So that gives China the hammer, playing 5.
Absolutely have just don't understand.
No, Sweden, Germany. Sweden scored 2, Annette Norberg in the third to lead 2-1. Andrea Schock, the 88 world champion. And looks like it may have caught in something from Garmisch-Partenkirchen.
Well, it definitely did previously in this game, Vic, because it left a long scratch. I'm not sure if that one did, but it looks like it's not going to have a lot of steam left.
And so that's a steal of 2 and a 4-1 lead for Sweden. And on sheet D, the U.S. scored 2. And that's Debbie McCormick of Madison, 2003 champion, against Silvana Tirenzoni from Switzerland. 3-1, the U.S. lead there. As we welcome you back to the Canada Games Arena, part of the Crystal Center, here in Grande Prairie, Alberta. Canada steals 1 in the fourth. And so the Japanese, playing the Redstones, once again have the hammer here in 5.
Well, that was a nice opportunity for Japan to get a couple points, maybe even 3 if she drove it back properly. She talked a long time about the ice and how much ice to take, and seemed to throw it pretty well, so maybe didn't have quite enough, Linda, because she came across the face of it. So
it was a good attempt, and they did think it through nicely, just couldn't quite execute. 2 guards out in front. This end, a come around from Canada is a little deep. This is where you can get into a bit of trouble, though. They are playing the freeze, which is fine, but if you play the freeze, you have to get it right in front so you can use your next rock, maybe a centerline rock even, to play back. Otherwise, you need to tap it to get it out of the forefoot, and it won't do either.
Hey, Seth. Yep.
So Canada got away with the one being a tiny bit too deep. Here's a chance for Sasha to put a top 8, top 12-foot stone and block the path.
Hurry! Hurry, line! Whoa, whoa, front one, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Gina, little. Okay.
A very nice start for Kelly Scott. Not many mistakes at all from Team Canada, and the few that they've had, they've been able to save.
こっち難しいか。
So a nice way to get
やって
going.
みよう。前当たってもいいよ。通せばいいんよ、あそこ。カマーすればいいんよ。3球で。8。ラインよ。8球。ラインまだ。ラインまだ。あるよ。まだ8球。ウェイトあるよ。通る？当たった。
And that's actually a tough way to get through that hole. It wasn't a big hole. It might have been easier to try and play it with some weight, so you took the curl out of the equation.
Same thing.
Now for Japan, the guards out in front are overlapped. At least the tight guard is now overlapped with a yellow. That's not as useful.
Whoa, room. Kind of wait. 3, 4, close, yep. 5, 6. Room. Room. Let it work. 6. Line, here it goes. Right in. Top 4. Yep, finish it. Line's getting better. Right in, right in, right in. Go, go, go. Nice shot. Good job.
Leaves it shy of second shot, but Canada without the hammer line one.
There were some early misses by Japan, some open misses, but also a very nice draw in the first end against 2. And some good execution after that. So they've had some chances in this game. The numbers are a little lower, but they haven't made a lot of big mistakes.
There are 4 countries who have the opening round bye. They include Denmark, skipped by Melanie Dupont. She and her sister played for Dorte Home in Torino. Diana Gaspari of Italy. They were the Italian representatives at Pinerolo. Sherry Liebrandt from the Netherlands. The Dutch are here, and Shelley is originally from Salmon Arm, BC. And Kelly Wood is skipping the Scottish team, and she was also at the Olympics as part of the Great Britain team, as skipped by Rona Martin. So there's some experience on these teams, international, other than just World Championship experience.
Tight. Come this way.
Well, it's just been execution so far in this end that has put Japan in trouble. They had the opportunity to come down to the face of a stone that had gone too far.
3, maybe 2.5. Okay, you gotta bring it up
Now
for
in
3
trouble.
for line. Line's getting better. Yeah, bring it up. Bring it up a bit. Clean. Close. Whoa, whoa, short. Yeah. Beauty, Gina.
Nice shot.
So if you can throw some weight at this situation, get all 3 of those rocks going, get them out of the way. But you have to throw some weight.
You might be able to play the red top 12 under the yellow just behind it, and also have a good result in that your red shooter might stick around close
これ見える？
by.
後ろ見えるよ。こっちの方がいい？見える。
That's a shot that Linda was talking about, playing the red onto the yellow. I would definitely be playing the top yellow one out of there. Onto the red. Try and catch the back of the yellow.
Junko Sonobe.
Threw it pretty hard, actually.
Yeah, they seem to be over curling stones that surprised me, so maybe their releases are just a little bit inside. If they'd been able to thin that yellow, they might have made contact with the other two that direction as well, but it completely over curled the shot.
Got more line. Okay, just clean. Line's nice.
Right in, 4.
Whoa, off then. Just on the outside of this. Starting to curl. Stay close.
Just a little flat.
Whoa, we gotta cross it. Whoa, not yet, not yet. Sash.
Good. Good try, Gina.
ついてる。
早いので。
アップでいきます。
はい。
If you hit it on the outside, you can definitely get the two yellow out of there.
Yep, yep. Yep, nice. Yep, yep.
She hit it on the nose. She had to hit it on the outside.
That time they definitely were inside of the spot they wanted. They needed to
Rolling in.
try and get that opening, the center opening.
Like short of the rings?
Kelly will just keep trying to plug it up.
Yeah, just in the hole, I think. Right? Yeah.
The reason we're talking about that mistake from Japan, you see the rocks out in front. Red is in front of a yellow stone, so the red's not accessible directly into the house.
You like this? I'm thinking just short, right in the middle.
Hey.
3. I don't really want to come in and out with this. I don't think it'll finish much at center. If it's tucking and...
Okay.
She could come around to the top of the forefoot, but she's decided to try and sit it on the center line, just short.
Just a 3.
Just a 3.
3.
Just a 3.
Line's good for 3.
Short, guys. You can finish it.
Look at the
It's
mess
going.
on
pretty
sheet
good.
B, Sweden and Germany.
Okay, whoa.
Annette
Let's leave
Norberg,
it
Finish it.
wide.
Andrea
No.
Schopp,
No, line's
and
fine.
Sweden would appear to be lying
Nice
one.
shot.
That's the stone
Shot, Kel.
frozen to the yellow German stone back of the button. And is there a hole there or an angle raised by Andrea Schopp with her last one, trailing 4-1?
It's a small hole, Vic, but she's trying to come through the port.
Go fast!
Monica Wagner, her longtime third, and Anna Hartelt and Maria Teresa Rotter, the front end for the team from Garmisch-Partenkirchen. Big brush if they can get it through the hole. They do, and enough. You bet. What a great shot by the former world champion Andrea Schopp.
She's got one chance at this, and then we can plug it up, and then she's got to knock it.
Looks like she scored 2 for sure. There may have been a third one close. We'll wait till the score goes up, but a wonderful shot to come through the hole.
That's nice.
Wait, just T. T. ラインを。ジャストノースイップで T あるよ。ラインあるよ。ライン待ち。お。まだ待って。9。スイップインしない。9。かわす？かわした？かわした？ Yes, 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 yes.
ち
ヘイトジャストだった。回したと思ったんだけど、ごめんね。
10?
I think so. I think it'll curl though. 9-7. Roll.
Take that.
And we can confirm it was just 2 for Germany, so it's a 4-3 game there. Sweden leading as they go to the fifth end break.
9-7 or so, I think. Might get a bit of curl.
Okay.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Room. Clean.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay, yeah, roll it right out. Yep. Hard. Go, Renee. Right out, right out. Okay.
Good shot.
She kind
Yeah.
of convinced herself that that would curl a little bit, but there was no chance that was going to curl.
Yeah, Gina made a good call. Wasn't going to come up.
No.
You're right, Cal.
So Canada line 1 and looking to steal again here in 5.
あれ当たんなかったらここまで行ってたよね。
It was a good roll out. When they realized it wasn't going to work, it leaves nothing for Japan over there to work
I thought
with.
it might finish because that intern I had in the wing really took a move and just kept going. I was kind of worried about like.
いくつだった今の。
さっきの8半で9で欲しい。
So she needs a good piece of the button here. Final stone in 5 for Yukako Tsuchiya. And the 25-year-old skip from Japan.
ウェイトあるよ。ライオン、ライオン。ライン待ち。
Nothing from Kamayama or Tomoko Sonobe. She's found the hole. Now needs to dig in time. Needs a little rub to take the steam off. No, and it'll slide too far. It remains very quick. Canada steals another point. They'll go to the break. Canada leads 3-1 on day 1 of the Ford World Women's Championship.
The 2006 Ford World Women's Curling Championship on TSN is brought to you by Ford, built for life in Canada.
We're looking at an update from Switzerland and the U.S. Switzerland's Silvana Tirinzoni from Dubendorf against the former world champion of the USA, Debbie McCormick from Madison, Wisconsin, as they play in the 5th. 3-1, the U.S. leading. And a little bit of a rub, but it rolls too far. Steal of 1 for McCormick, and the Americans, they now have a 4-1 lead. All the games are in the 5th, and you can see how Canada, after a slow start, has stolen a couple of points for a 3-1 lead. So it's time to check the numbers. After 5, brought to you by Tim Hortons, roll up the rim to win.
Well, it is obvious Canada is playing well. The execution is on the Canadian side. Those 2 steals, remember, the Japan team had stones in the house, second and third shot in both cases, chances for bigger scores, and just couldn't finish it off. But the game is still close, and if Japan continues to play aggressively, they may follow through on one of those chances.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they had the run back for a possible 3 they missed. We're in the 5th end break, and Canada leads it 3-1 here in Grande Prairie.
The 2006 Ford World Women's Curling Championship on TSN is brought to you by Tim Hortons Roll Up the Rim to Win, by Strauss Herb Company, and by Scott Paper Limited, proud sponsor of curling for 25 years.
Yeah, natural gas is a big part of Grande Prairie. Started as a Hudson's Bay trading post back in the 1800s. It's a city of about 45,000. It serves the Peace region of northwest Alberta, about 250,000 people. As we welcome you back to the Canada Games Arena, part of the Crystal Centre, and this opening day coverage of the Ford World Women's Curling Championship. We go to the 6th. Canada with back-to-back steals, lead 3-1. Japan, Ray, playing the Redstones, have the hammer. You know, once, I'm like a dog with a bone. Eh? You just make that mistake and I'll never let it go.
Jump right on.
You betcha.
I don't blame you. Because I usually have the last word.
Yeah, that's true. You do. You do. Well, let's go back to what you both were saying and talking about playing a little more wide open to start, but then Ray, you suggested putting rocks in play. The rocks have been put in play. The Japanese have just failed to execute.
Yeah, that's been the key. And she's had a couple opportunities, and then just a little inexperience in the previous end where she didn't clear off the front earlier in the end.
And it's interesting because at the Brier, we actually talked about that, Ray. We talked about how experienced skips seem to survey the house and in front of the house and get the feel for when to go and make the play on the front rocks. But that's the lack of experience we see with these teams, Vic. They kind of get fixated on shot rock and try to just get out shot rock instead of thinking, well, maybe 3 shots down the road I can get to it, but for now I need to open up the front.
And if you're Canada and Kelly Scott, how do you assess the first 5?
Well, I think it's been a nice first 5. They haven't had to do much. There was a chance in 2 for a steal for Japan, and Kelly Scott had to make a nice hit, which she did. But otherwise, Vic, there hasn't been a lot of pressure on them. They got the steals by getting a rock in and protecting it. So it's been a really nice way to start.
Once again here, you can see the inexperience. Japan does have last rock. Earlier in this end, they should have ignored the stone in the rings and thrown up a corner guard.
You're rolling far, Gina, right to the wing. Shot.
In the past, as opposed to hitting this, she could be tapping it back. She could be, and then trying to roll in front, but keeping the rock in play. You want that rock to be in the back 8-foot or back 12-foot. This is just making Canada's job so easy, Vic. I mean, if she had tapped that back and sat there or rolled over a bit, all of a sudden you have to pass the Redstone by a couple of shots. You get a jam, and that's how you get your deuce. This is just inexperience. I mean, they just don't understand how your opposition stones can work for you.
Sure. Junk it up at the back. Maybe it becomes a catcher.
The big thing is just making it so simple for Canada.
Now, one of the things we are fortunate about in Canada is that we do have the chance to watch television and listen to the experienced teams and hear the players talk about the strategy. Well, this is what the teams from the Pacific Rim do. Both China and Japan bring their video cameras. They can try to capture these games because they have so little to then go home and talk about and show each other exactly what to do with the strategy. And that is a big thing. Great benefit we have in Canada that they just don't have.
Top 8.
Oh, I know some countries as well were taking the tapes of our broadcast in years past and using them for analysis and breaking them down. A little more difficult, I think.
And of course, the other
For the
thing about
Japanese, pardon me.
about this game, Vic, if they make some little mistakes, you can actually key on the mistakes this team is making, as well as look at the overall picture and what Canada is doing and some strategy questions and that kind of thing. But key on some of the mistakes, as we've already talked about. Talk about the peeling of the front and when that's the best approach.
15-1. Good shot.
Okay, good shot.
Yes, you can hit this and get the roll. You could also just tap it back and or sit or freeze to the face of it.
The interesting thing about the way this end started is Japan started by trying to freeze, and there's not a wrong question as far as the freeze goes, but the problem with the freeze, as you're saying, Ray, as soon as it was missed, Canada's now hitting and rolling over to sit 2. You're right, if they've been tapping back maybe on Leeds rocks or putting up the guard, but if they've been tapping back, left the Canada stone in the back, if Canada's hitting and rolling, now you have stones behind that you can work with. We're still talking about 3 rocks in front of the tee line. They're not building up that opportunity to really get a good situation going.
Just see how simple the Canadian shots are.
Yeah, and Japan isn't off by a long ways. It's just that they haven't given themselves the chance. With those rocks in front of the tee line, an open hit that they make just doesn't put any pressure on Canada.
Now, if you're wondering, there has been a coming together, of course, in the last couple of years of rules, some of the rules, and one that is the same. It's 73 minutes plus 2 one-minute timeouts. Often those timeouts are called by the players themselves. I'm wondering if at this point in time the Japanese coach should maybe go, I want to call one.
Well, the hard part is, Vic, we're pretty early in the game, and we've seen now it's been a series of ends where we could say there's been a point that you could pick a strategy situation and say maybe do it a little differently. So the coach might have to call one every end, and that would be very disruptive to suddenly get into the faces of these players. So, you know, back to our point about the video camera and trying to capture this game and have a chance to talk about it after the game and see if he can't just develop them a little further with their strategy.
So what do you think of this? Trying to corner freeze on those stones?
Yeah, it's fine. Just touch it back, try and sit in front of it. Then it's a long. If Kelly wants to hit it, get it out, she's going to have to get it across the whole sheet. So.
当たんないか。もっと落ちないと。
Junko Sonobe.
Go here now, like higher?
Top 8.
I think with higher, then they can get the roll into those two.
Worried about her rolling into that part.
Exactly, Kelly.
Right? So
You want to be
do
even
wanna
with
go
this?
Here, even.
Top
Then-
4?
Yeah. Just kind of half in the top 4, maybe.
I like coming this way better. Then you can't see it.
Well, you heard what Kelly said. She talked about playing it high, but that would be a mistake because if you played it up high like this, and they could get a hit on it and roll into that area there. So she's going to go back into this area here, and rightly so.
This is one of those funny circumstances, Vic, where putting another rock in play is one of those touchy things. You don't want to give them a better chance. The way the rocks are sitting right now, Japan does not have a great opportunity to get something going.
Looks like lots right now.
7, 8. Looks like lots. Just top 4. 8, 9.
Back 12.
First stone for Canada, and Kelly Scott skip stones here in 6. She leads 3-1.
Okay. Good shot.
Now, if you're Japan, you could just sit down on top of that, freeze to it,
That looks like it's flying.
tap it back slightly if you want.
私3.9で抜けたよ。
2.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a good call, and actually the skip has had good control of the weight. She's made some nice shots, just a tiny bit too deep last end
今のと同
on her
じで
last try with a draw.
記憶だからあれ。はい。3球。バックまであるよ。抜けるよ。
Kelly Scott on her last one still thought the ice is pretty quick.
It is very quick, and here we go with this freeze. You see a rock, Vic, and you think freeze, maybe a little tap, and with this very fast ice, you just can't give it any extra speed.
Now, this is a very young team for sure. And
We're there.
The hard part, if you're the coach of this young Japanese team, is you want them to go on the ice and feel like they can make mistakes because they're going to, and learn from them. It's difficult at a world championship. You are on TV, you've got a lot of people in this arena. It's difficult for them not to take a lot of this inside and feel very unhappy and lack some confidence about their next game. But you have to approach these games for Japan, Ed Dezura, as a developing thing. And he's got his video camera, he's taking notes. And of course they'll get better as the week goes along and they settle down a little bit. Tough to come up against Canada and be on TV in your very first game.
You got room, you got room. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Clean, clean, yep, clean. Yep. Hard, hard, hard. Good shot.
Good shot, Kelly.
But a rock too high on the 4-foot to set that side catcher, but
Did you mention that Ed was a former Canadian senior champion?
I didn't actually, Vic.
ダウンで。
Back in
ちょっと中にロールしても
1999?
That was the famous game, actually,
外だけは
with
困
the
るか
power
ら。
outage.
Oh, that's
And
right.
it started very late in the night. I think 11 o'clock local time they started curling, and it was a tough one, but the BC team did pull it out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what Japan and Yukako Tsuchiya
コント
is facing with her last one.
Yep. Whoa, whoa. Yep, 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 whoa, yep, whoa, yep, yep.
good throw.
And sits right there. To pick up a single here in 6. It's 3-2, and Canada has the hammer when we come back. Well, we have to tell you that they've changed the score. Germany got 3. That nice draw and tap back by Andrea Schopp. That tied it with Sweden and a net Norberg as we update in the 6th. And the final stone now from Norberg, and she has a chance here to draw for 3. She's line 2, back 4 foot.
But one thing I will say, Vic, I played against Andrea Schopp. She's been around for many, many years. She is a little tiger, and she's made a lot of great shots. That's her draw top 4 foot that she tried to tuck in behind, didn't quite get it there. But it's blocking the path for this draw, and if it wasn't for Andrea, this game would be wide open, and Sweden would be way ahead.
And she can't get it there, and so those 2 reds you see coming into view give Sweden a 6-4 lead as they go to 7.
Well, that was a nice hit and stick by the Japanese skip. She threw it very confidently. She took obviously the correct ice, just a couple inches of ice, and threw the normal bumper weight type shot, ran straight down and got her single point.
So Canada has the hammer here in the 7th, playing the Yellowstones.
Now she knows how to try to steal points, and that's get a rock out in front, and that's exactly what she's done. So we see a come around now. Canadian stone went a little too deep.
るよ。おおお。やるよ。おおおおおおお。やりすぎたね。ごめん。
Let's take a look at a key shot, and it's brought to you by Kashmir. Now Cottonelle has an even softer name, Kashmir.
Well, I wanted to look at this again because, yes, we've talked about the lack of experience and some little strategy problems that Japan has had. But Yukako can throw last. She threw against 2 the first end. She's made some lovely shots. There are 5 Canadian stones in the rings. She puts the broom down, she throws it cleanly, and there you go. There's your single. So that's a very good sign for a young player. She is not afraid to step in the hack and make that last shot.
Yeah, and she just didn't give herself, she just did not make the Canadian stones difficult that end. And you have to, when you, especially when you have last rock, is when you have to take some chances.
チップインしてもいいし、6までね。前でもいいから。はいよ。
It is funny how sometimes inexperienced teams seem to take a little more risk without the hammer. You recall the second end that Japan actually got Canada into some trouble. And Canada, Kelly Scott had to make a nice hit against 3. And here we go again. They're willing to put up the center guard and take some chances on the come-arounds when they don't have the last rock advantage.
That rock was much better short.
Let's take the guard.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with playing the Japanese stone, if you happen to sit there, the stones would be grouped and be a little pocket, so they're just going to peel off the guard.
We talk about this game being a team game, and there was a situation where the thrower had to realize I'd like to get it into the top of the 4-foot, but if I'm light, it's a good shot. It just, those are the kind of things they just don't seem to understand.
Shot.
I think one of the biggest problems is in the translation, even though the instructors, many instructors that go there, tough time in the translation. Change of strategy all of a sudden.
Clean. Yep. Yep. Hard. Hard. Go, go, go. Right
Sasha
up.
Carter.
Hard, 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 hard. Stay there.
Shot. Okay, good shot.
Rolls it over almost in front of here.
Getting a little
Canadian
bit of
stone sitting back 12 foot.
That does leave a double, Vic. Rolled a little too far.
Up it.
Yep. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yep. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yep, yep. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay.
Nice shot.
We talked about Gina being a very key player for this team. She is always near the top of the shooting percentages. This year was no exception at the Scott Tournament, and Hearts was #1 amongst the thirds. Makes a lot of big shots. There's a nice roll. Quite nice for Kelly so far. The team is playing consistently well. They're not making everything, but they look like they're throwing well and getting used to this ice.
Oh. Yep. Yes, yes. Yep. Yes, yes. Yep. Oh. Yep, 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 yep. Yes, come in, come in, come in. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Unable to hold the shooter.
10. Okay.
Their 10 reference.
That's the 10 seconds hog to hog, Vic, so that's a quieter hit. But remember that draw speed is very high here at 14.5. So all the numbers get elevated a bit.
Right to it. Hard. Right to it. Nice shot. Good job.
Nice shot, Gina. Good shots.
Good cleanup.
Didn't do anything. They didn't.
Canada take this through if they can now to a blank the end, you think?
They will, but it's an interesting time of the game, Vic. It's what Ray was talking about earlier. The score is very close, but Canada has really dominated this game. So you start to get a little anxious when you're getting at this point of the game and you're blanking and not really setting up things. And Ray, as you said, you're leaving it to one mistake and Japan could be right back in this game.
Whoa, yep. Whoa, whoa, oh, 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 oh.
USA Switzerland as we look live. And the USA has stolen singles in 5 and 6. Final stone for Switzerland, Silvana Tiranzoni. And trying a run back. And jams at the back. And then their jammed stone rolls too far, the raised stone. So it's a steal of one more for Debbie McCormick of the U.S. 6-1.
I feel like. Stay clear of that one.
Okay.
That was a little hard luck for Switzerland. You can tell with the rocks in play over on that sheet that she's trying to scramble back in that game and probably doing a lot of the right things. And that means you have to take a few chances and make those big shots. And Savannah couldn't quite do it.
Well, everybody's jumped now. Schrader, Carter, Simons.
Right in, hard, 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 hard.
Wow, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, my.
Yeah, good sweeping, guys.
Good try.
Shoot.
Sweden and Germany. We showed you the 2 by Sweden. Actually, it was a chance for 3. And that Norberg came up short. Final stone now from Germany and Andreas Schopp.
It's a hit against 2, Vic. It shows Annette Norberg's experience. There's another yellow in the house.
Right.
Annette just drew open to sit 2 and force the single.
So it's 6-5. Sweden leading and with the hammer playing 8.
Try and tuck behind the one that Kelly just came up short. Just be careful, of course, not to don't want to touch it and raise it in or anything, but she can force the Canadian skip into drawing for a single if you can just tuck behind it.
Yes, 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 yes. Switch, yes.
great line. Just had to rush it a little earlier. You can see there's not a lot of late movement like we saw last week, for example. The curl is kind of quiet all the way down the ice, and it goes about 3 feet, no more. It may get a little more and then later on in the week when we get a little warmer weather.
まあこれはねフィールドアウトしてくれるよね。
Contact first, blank if we can.
Originally from Winnipeg,
Yep. Hard right to it.
now curls out of the Kelowna Curling Club, the Canadian champion, Kelly Scott. Final stone here in 7. And she'll sit right there.
One yellow.
One yellow it is. 4-2 Canada. Well, TSN brings you complete coverage of the PGA Tour and the Players' Championship at Sawgrass. Begins Thursday at 1:30 Eastern. That's 10:30 a.m. Pacific. The PGA on TSN. Our opening day coverage of the Ford World Women's Curling Championship from Grande Prairie. Canada taking 1 in the 7th to lead Japan 4-2. And the Japanese from Kurosawa playing the Redstones have the hammer. The player comparisons are brought to you by Alexander Keith's. Those who like it a lot.
On day one, we often see that players are struggling a little bit with the draw weight. Perfect for Renee on her hits and a big edge at lead at 86%.
Now here's a situation. You're down 2, you're playing 8th. You have last rock. You've just forced the Canadians to take a single. Yes, you can freeze down to this or you can tap it back. But the better play is to play the corner guard. Now, this may be a break where your thrower, in an attempt to play the freeze, comes up light. That's actually the best thing that could have happened. It's a little too close to the center line, mind you, but at least you'll get some rocks in play now.
Line's good.
It's funny, though, when we first started seeing the free guard zone rule in play in Canada,
Let it work.
there was teams trying out a lot of different things. And one of the things they did try out over a season is a guard closer to center. And I know the two of you will believe it, but I actually went back and watched tape and tracked all the times that happened. And more times than not, a center area guard, I won't say a center guard, but a guard pretty tight to the center generated a second point with the hammer more often than a wide corner. And it's interesting because we've seen it change as we've seen the free guard zone rule change over the years and people adapt their strategy. And now a lot of the guys go wide corners, but it's a very usable stone. In many ways, you're not wrong to start to tap it around now if you want to be able to use it.
No, I agree, Linda. On just a quick look at this ice surface, and I'm for sure not playing my guards over the top of the 12-foot. I'm playing them over top of the 8-foot because there's a little more movement around the center line. Last week in Regina, and this could be a good shot too, just chip it and set up 2 corners. It's too bad I went in.
Well, the good part about it is Kelly will go after it. And if she happens to not roll in front, now you can get at the middle. So not so bad the way it started, and not exactly what they called, but not such a bad thing to have happen.
We don't know how much experience this team has. I mean, there's been a number. We've seen Japan in the World Championships now for 15 years, and they just don't seem to be grasping the concept of offense.
Hard. Whoa.
And that is a nice little roll for Sasha. She blocks the path to those 2 rocks, button and top 4.
This is a good call. You have to play this. Try and run it back. You got this. You're getting yourself in deep trouble here, so you want to try and. You want to save your shooter though. Just roll over to the other corner.
Come on. Yep. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
This is Tomoko Sonobe. She's a couple of years younger than her sister Junko.
And it is Sasha Carter with the edge. Very nice, consistent numbers. Look at even draws and hits as far as numbers go, and nice numbers on both as far as shooting percentages go.
Same.
I think so.
Yep.
Releases will be very important this week. A nice in-turn release there from Sasha. And if we're going to see the ice be a little tricky as far as not getting a lot of curl, you have to throw it cleanly.
Yeah,
Definitely straight.
Okay, not in.
4.
Starting to curl. Not in. Higher the better.
No, we're in, Kelly.
We're in. Down.
Okay.
Checking the game between China and Norway as they play in the 7th. This is the final stone for the Chinese skip from Harbin. This is Bingyu Wang. And when you think back to a year ago, as she's facing a couple, I don't know if she could have gotten a little less weight, maybe come across and hit that straight back and gotten a roll to score a shot, but it'll be a steal of 1 for Norway and Dorothy Nordby and a 3-2 lead. But a year ago at Paisley in Scotland, China and Wang went 4 and 7.
Not all bad.
Nice shot.
Had to curl a little more. Spread those rocks out over the forefoot.
Hey, Gina.
The 2 Yellowstones are in a position to be doubled if Canada doesn't get a rock in front of them. So Japan sort of whittling away at the situation.
Remember, it's Japan playing the Redstones that has the hammer here in the 8th.
Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa. Might go right to the wing, Sash. Whoa. Yeah, out, out, out.
Okay.
9-2.
Same things apply here, Linda, Ray, when it comes to turn on the handle, arena situation, got to get rotation, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it does apply, Vic. It's not quite as the same kind of situation as the arena we saw at the Briar. A little crisper ice, right?
Yeah, a good question, Vic, because last week in Regina with 7,500 people in the building and the ice being a little bit softer, it was imperative you had rotation. But you can get away with a bit of a soft handle here because the ice is hard, building's a little cooler, and the surface is a little faster. Nice shot.
I mentioned Gina Schrader was the top third at the Scott Tournament of Hearts, and often the top third, and big numbers for her at 88%. And up till then, perfect on her hits. Of course, this is through 7 ends of play, and she has the big edge at third.
Clean. Yep.
Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Off, off. No. Renee, right up a bit. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to, and you were Japan, you could ignore this stone. There's a nice guard out in front. Actually, the nice part about the guard for Japan is Gina's rock is in a good spot in your center line, but you could come wide side around the guard if you liked. They're trying to hit and roll.
Okay, 10.
Mine seemed to have a lot of rotation, so
Yeah,
maybe.
it was just sticking there, yeah. little more, Gina. Make sure.
Live look at the game between Switzerland and the U.S. And Debbie McCormick has stolen in 5 and 6 and 7. And that Yellowstone you see at the back of the forefoot, she tried the corner freeze, and that may have made this shot a little more difficult. Not that it isn't, as the former World Junior champion Tirinzoni from Switzerland throws her last, facing a couple. And had that stone Linda been maybe a little higher up on the corner. And, oh, goodness gracious, she found the mountain pass. Steal of 2 more.
Congratulations.
And that's it. We have our first final. And a difficult start for Switzerland, but the champion of 2003, Debbie McCormick, opens with an 8-1 win.
It's completely the wrong shot here now. This is an inexperience. No point hitting this. You got to go around this way like Linda suggested and try and force the end. It's a 2-on-1 shot. This is the wrong shot to play.
The nice thing that happened when Kelly's rock hit and rolled, I wouldn't have actually tried to roll if I was Kelly. I would have baited them into hitting a wide open rock because it overlapped a little bit, and that come around would have been in a perfect spot, and Kelly wouldn't have had her rock to use to run back.
She got a great roll. But you're absolutely right. Kelly didn't want to roll in behind that at all. But you had to ignore that, play the wide out turn, come around, try and get it in behind. She got the best roll she could possibly get. That's what I mean sometimes, and it's almost like the Japanese teams try to play to keep it close. We see that year after year after year, as opposed to trying to win it.
That's right, playing not to lose.
Kelly Scott with the big numbers, but I have been impressed. Yes, they're making mistakes. And yes, we've said many times they could do different things, but Yukako has really showed us that she can throw last, and she's made some very nice shots under a lot of pressure in this game.
Yep. Room. Yep. Clean. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, off. Whoa. Hard, Renee.
Yeah, right over, Renee. Start. Yeah. Okay.
Probably a little firm.
No.
Not really?
No. I thought maybe initially, but by the time it came down and hit it, it wasn't.
That's like fresh pebble, eh? Like outside of the rings there.
Now, the other nice part for Canada is that this was a pivotal end with the score the way it is, 4-2, Canada leading, and the 8th end. If Japan had been able to get a deuce, you think through the last few ends when you're a coach or a team, and a deuce in 8, force a single in 9, and then Japan might have had a great chance coming home.
Mama!
Yep.
Japan looking for the blank here in 8.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
One more turn, and just enough. Not in, says Gina Schrader. And smiles from the Japanese. They'll hold the hammer. Canada leads 4-2. Getting some snow, and it is bitterly cold, but we expect it to warm up. And this is what's warming up the race for the playoffs. Philadelphia and the Rangers Wednesday on TSN. Rangers currently 5th, or Philadelphia's 5th. The Rangers are currently 3rd in the conference, 7 Eastern time Wednesday. The blank in 8 means the Japanese will hold the hammer here in 9, but Canada holds the lead. Kelly Scott looking to open her World Championship bid with a win, and she's up 4-2.
here we go. Here's a great call. They're going to put up a corner guard, or at least try and put up the corner guard. Little benefit, the first Canadian stone's top of the house, so it's actually a usable stone for Japan.
Yeah, this is an excellent call. Finally, she's just making a move to try and get a couple points. Should have been doing this earlier, obviously.
Well, let's go back, Linda, to something we always talk about, you bring up so often, is teams go to the ice with plans. And if you are new, or relatively so, to the game, as the Japanese are, and in terms of strategy, they may be more rigid in their plans than other teams. And it may be in the book they've written for today that says, in 9, if we're behind, this is what we're going to do. That they may not alter from that plan when maybe they should have earlier.
I think you're right, Vic, and we talked about that. We knew this team, this Japanese team, was going to go to the ice with a conservative plan. What's going on? That's not a bad thing. And you're right. What happens is you get that rule, that plan in your head, and suddenly it's hard for them to make the little adjustment when the opportunity presents itself to be a little more aggressive. Not a huge risk, but a little more aggressive. And it's hard for them to understand to make that switch.
I think Linda said it best of all earlier in this game when we were talking, that they don't seem to recognize when there's an opportunity that's to your benefit. And the 8 then was a perfect example. All of a sudden, you had 2 rocks, they had 1 left, you had a long guard and a little nibbler. You could take the opportunity. They don't recognize that, to go around and really force your opposition. They happen to miss their last shot, you draw for 2. So it's if you make a good shot. They don't recognize the opportunities that
Kelly, you like this
present
more than the
themselves.
peel?
This really surprises me, though.
It's a good opportunity.
If you talk about opportunities. Vic Kelly's feeling like she wants to try and put the pressure on here and maybe put it away. I think, looking at the situation, I might peel, and the team wanted to peel, but here we go. They're going to put up the front stone. Tight guard or in.
Line's a little tight. 2.5.
I don't like this call.
It's funny when we talk about it, because just as we're saying opportunity, the words come out of Kelly's mouth, but to me this is only giving Japan a chance here.
You've got complete control of this game. I know it's only 2 points, but
Shot, Sash.
not all bad. Kelly's committed now.
Hey, Seth. 2.5, 3. Running a short.
China and Norway. Dorothy Nordby with her final stone just made a double. That's the yellow stone. It's behind the Chinese third U.
Okay, well line. 3.
But it's a sitting top edge of the 8, and it's a quiet tap for a possible 2 for the Chinese. Although
3, 4.
there's the jam possibility at the back of the 12.
I want to tuck it. Yeah, yeah. Whoa. Yeah, take it. Go. Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah!
Zhu and Liu, the front end of this team from Harbin, and she crashes in front as they couldn't hold it. And so it's a steal of 1 for Norway. 4-2. Dorothy Nordby leads.
Nice weight.
ノーマルの方がいいんじゃない？ノーマルの方が良くない？コント？コント。素晴らしいよ。
There is a double here.
コント。
ま shot.
Now this is the difficulty we were talking about with Kelly Scott being so aggressive. Japan's got rocks in play. They've got some guards out in front. That little one, because that guard came so tight, the little roll over there, they've now got a nibbler. This risk is rising for Canada.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, that was a hit and roll call. Timeout, please.
So the Canadians have called a timeout. Same as the Canadian champions rules. You get 73 minutes plus 2 1-minute timeouts.
I kind of like the guard.
I kind of like the guard too, because say we do the hit and roll.
They
She's just got to freeze, or they've got like 2 guards on either side.
She makes one run in though on that corner red and sticks it.
But what if you're 3 right now? What is she going to do? She's going to have to put a play on it.
Guard or hit and roll in.
Try to hit and roll in.
I think the guard's just about as good as anything, because it's going to leave her, and I think if we leave that open, she's going to have a pretty easy shot to get in there, right? So this way, we can try to roll kind of half, half up on top of it again or something.
Roll?
Roll up the outside.
On this shot?
No.
No. Okay.
Later.
Confuse me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a higher guard this time? A little higher? Like
Yeah, we don't.
Roll with that yellow, or even higher?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we want to ever allow her the chance to roll for the rings.
No.
Because if she makes the angle in, then we can freeze in. So if
Yeah.
we're high, that's okay.
Okay.
Got scoring zone now.
Yeah.
She makes the roll.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you can see the 2 big screens that are available here for the 2,800 or so in the Canada Games Arena, but more often than not, the players also check it out to see where the stones are sitting.
Got room?
3, 4.
4?
4.
Okay, short. Not in. Line's pretty good. Clean it all the way. Short, perfect. Okay, good shot.
We got to show Freddie to meet the others.
Pardon?
With the repacking.
How about it?
Kelly got her guard, and now Japan will try and run it back onto shot rock.
Ball. Yep. Ball. Yep. Yes.
Well, they swept that, and it
I have
needed
no
to
idea
curl
why
a
they
little
were
bit.
sweeping that. Yeah. That looked very close for a while there.
It
Linda.
did.
You just had to leave it.
One thing it did, the shooter rolled over and covered the little red biter.
Little less.
3. Whoa, it's got to curl.
Little less.
Whoa, it's got to die. Whoa, clean it. We got to rub on this one?
Yeah. If we go.
Whoa, we're not there for line yet. Whoa. Whoa. No. Okay.
Now the back one's accessible, I think. It's a tough shot because there's very little movement, but with back 12-foot weight, you could tap this out and get a little roll behind the corner.
Yeah.
Hack weight.
Totally different path.
This is a great opportunity for Japan to possibly lie 2 and have them covered, Linda.
And it all goes back to the choice of guarding instead of peeling. Canada elected to play it this way.
Gotta watch the brushing here.
Find the hole. Did. Now where will the shooter go? Out the side.
She could have played with a little less weight and taken a touch more ice to save the shooter, but she saved it. She rolled out, so she got the shot rock.
With that weight, it wasn't going to stick. Look, it's just by the front one, so you couldn't cut it any closer. So it was a good throw. It was what she was asked for.
Yeah, I don't mind the tap, because you can tap to there even, right? Like, we can angle it. And that's
Junko Sonobe.
Okay.
Liked the shot.
It was a good shot. As Linda says, exactly what she was asked for. You just take 6 inches more ice and play it with tap back weight, back 12-foot weight, or light hack. And you're going to save the shooter.
There you go.
Our opening day of coverage here on TSN. This impressed me about Kelly in London, Ontario. It was her concentration, Linda.
Yeah, she has tremendous focus on the shot. Weight to the broom, puts all the other distractions aside.
Whoa. Whoa, gotta wait.
Playing the raise.
Whoa. Whoa, what do you got? Whoa, wait for it. Wait for it. Whoa. Whoa. Let it come up. Let it come up. Mine's decent. Yep.
And then the shooter sits there to fill the hole. And she punches it 8 foot, and there's that long guard that it sits behind me. It peeked out the other side.
Yeah, I think it's accessible. You'd have to throw quietly at it.
Yeah, actually.
Now in Regina, this past week, they would have been able to get to this pretty easily, wouldn't they?
You can get across the face of it.
Yeah, that is dead buried.
It's a toughie.
And from that hack end, I don't think you'll be able to see a lot either.
It was a good look at it.
Yeah, that's covered.
It's fully covered. And we don't know how much it'll move out there, Linda. I don't know if it'll come enough. But you try the run back.
You could ignore it. You could raise your own guard from out in front, try and get it behind cover in the 4 foot.
So timeout is called, and here is Ed Dzura.
How much do you see? How much shot rock did you see? Huh?
No.
Not that much.
No.
I think maybe, why don't you try play graze or something? Up grid. Yeah, because if you hit this, she's going to graze. Maybe go first. Understand? Maybe play draw, raise that one onto button. Same like her. Okay. If you come this way, or do you want, yeah, maybe peel guard. I think peel guard. And if you roll away, then if she no make guard, and then she throw guard can't see, then play bump. Okay? But first time peel. Peel guard, and I think without turn to roll away that way. Okay? Yeah, hit, yeah, come this way.
Okay.
Okay? Good luck.
Yeah. ピールしといて、で相手が決めたらあれ押せばいいから。
ごめんね、今さ、もしかして私のさ、ティーンの字が
ガードミスったら2点狙えるし。
Give me an idea of just, there's that communication factor. She understands, apparently understands. Now it's the execution.
It's one of the things, it's absolutely a wonderful country. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to be there or not.
No.
It's fantastic. People are just tremendous, and they're so kind and so polite. But I found, I'll just give you my experience, that they would shake their head, yes, that they did understand. But I found out later they did not actually understand. You know, but they're so, even some of those that speak English.
Right. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the scenario here, because Ed suggested first maybe raise the red stone, which is on the other side, raise it back. Now he changed his mind, said peel the guard.
Well, I think he was leaning to the peel the whole time. I didn't mind the raise attempt. You could try the raise, Vic. If it didn't work, you at least open up that side. There's nothing wrong with the peel either. They decided that's what they wanted to do. Ed Desir went out with a translator, Dwayne, and the problem, Vic, in the timeout is you have so little time. If you had to say the thing, have it translated, then have the player say something and have it translated back, you'd be out of time before you could even discuss the situation.
Almost exactly, isn't it?
It'll finish if the weight's nice. Well, if line's good, we can go right into top 4, as long as we're higher. There you go. We can guard it. Gina, let's just guard it. Don't want to give them something more than they have now. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to make it any better than what it is, so. Bring it up for a 3. Line's good for 3. 3. Bring it up. Yep. Bring it up. Hard. Going good. Hard. Bring it up. Hurry! Clean. Line's decent. Yep. Go, go, go. Every inch. Every inch. Hard. Little more. Little more. Little more. Little more. Hard. Go, go, go. Okay. Nice shot. Shot, y'all. Up. That's good. Yep.
どれを押す？これでしょ？
それつけばいいじゃんね。
Which one of the raises to play?
雨だから。
No, it would seem obvious you play the straighter raise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the one they're going to.
9、8。
Just off the nose, push it to the forefoot.
8。ちょっと重たくなってきたから8で。
Does seem like a lot of ice.
The handle's ready. We saw the hog line device, the lights activated by the cleaning of the stone.
And this is the final stone here in 9. Yukako Tsuchiya trying to raise her own rock, a Japanese rock, just outside the 12 foot. Oh, this might be a plan B.
She just had way too much ice. Even with that quiet, it was too quiet too, and no way it was going to curl that much.
Canada steals one more. 5-2. Well, there's this, when we look at the games, of course, and you're planning out your week, you right away check this one off. Kelly Scott, Canada against the reigning world champion, Olympic gold medal winner, Annette Norberg from Sweden. You'll see it tonight at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time. So let's take a look at how Annette Norberg is doing as she plays Andrea Schock of Germany. They're playing in the 9th. Schock herself a world champion. She won it in 1988. Linda Glasgow.
I think it was. Correct? Yep.
Don't ask me how I would even remember that, but stays with you. Looks for the split. Settles for 1-8-6. As we go to the 10th. And you can see how the Canadians have stolen 1, 2, 3 points. 5-2. Canada leading. That's the difference, the stolen points. I've related this story to you before. About sometimes, you know, at a certain level, I'm thinking of team sports, for example, you'll play somebody, you know, I relate it to soccer. Premier Division team will play a lower division team, and when you've been playing Premier all your life, all the league, you expect your competition to play like you. And when you play that 4th division, sometimes you can be surprised by it. Instead of the ball moving up the field, it moves across the field as they work the ball up the field. And I'm just wondering if sometimes you end up being surprised by your opposition and what they don't do.
I'm not sure in this case if Canada would be surprised at the conservative play of Japan. You often do see that. The hard part for Kelly Scott, Vic, is you find yourself over the course of the week playing teams that do have many different kinds of approaches. And in this game, you played a conservative team. Can you think back in this game, Vic, how many times Kelly Scott has protected a single rock in the house? And there have been, in some cases, other rocks, Japanese stones in the house. And so Kelly, if she'd made a mistake, could have been punished in this game. But there was the lack of execution from Japan. I'm quite sure Kelly would not approach other teams as she has Japan and sort of kept it close during these ends. I think when she goes to play in Annette Norberg, Ray, Kelly will adapt.
Yeah, we'll see tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep, nice. Nice. Yep, nice. Yep, yep. Yes, yep, yep, yep. Yo, yes. Yep, okay, yep.
China and Norway as they play in the 9th. And the Chinese skip Bin Yu Wang from Harbin against Dory Nordby. Nordby a year ago finishing in 4th position, had a record of 7-4. The jam at the back, and China forced to take just the single. And it's Dory Nordby leading by 1 with the hammer coming home.
Okay,
ノースイープ T。
おー、ラインまだいいよ。やっ、レイトは？
レイト T あるよ。8、9あるよ。入ったらもっといっちゃう。
レイトあるよ。おー、いいよ。かわすよ。
Nice shot.
Hey,
Well, they've got the 2 guards out in front. That one's in and deep enough behind the guard. So some things are possible here for Japan.
With the 2 guards out in front, this is how you could score 3 to tie this up. They peel it off. You go in behind the long corner guard on the other side. They'll hit the rock in the house, and you come in behind the long corner guard again.
Yep. Hard. Hard. Right out, Renee. Right to the board. Shot. Nice shot.
It's just not knowing, that's all.
Well, she's thinking about it here, changing her mind. They heard you, Ray. They're playing the come around.
You don't guard. You come in here, and you come fairly deep in behind here. Get it behind this, and then they'll hit the open one, so you'll have one here. Then you come in there again. want to take this deep back as far as you can. Get it as buried as you can. You won't need it to curl a little bit. Back as far as you can get it.
Our second final is on sheet B, and Sweden. Annette Norberg has run Andrea Schopp out of stones to win 8-7. And Sweden is who the Canadians will play next. Schopp will play Japan.
Let it work. Let it work. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Starting to go now. Hard fast if you get any.
Good shot. Great shot. Good shot.
And we'll have Canada against Sweden, Scott and Norberg, to this evening at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Hard to really.
That hidden stick has left a rock in the house. Japan has decided to play the freeze to it, maybe tap it a little.
That's one of the methods of doing it. You could win behind the corner guard again. You want to freeze it, you don't want to move it.
Hey, let's
pick it. On the next one, she's got to bump you to there.
It just shows you, Vic, what can happen. We've been talking about it the whole game. If the score is close, things happen in the 10th end. The one nice come around on the corner.
Yeah, it did come up.
That tap straight back means that Kelly cannot hit this rock the way she wants to. If she picks it out, then Japan can come back to that yellow one at the top, at the back of the 8-foot, and things are setting up.
Canada leading by 3. But it's a nervous 3 right now as we play in 10. And Kelly Scott with her first.
Hard right up. Right up. Hurry! Right up.
Simons,
right up,
Carter on the brush.
Hard.
Avoid the jam, stuffs it, and out goes the Japanese stone.
What you do here is you just ignore that completely and you come right in here like this, in front of this stone right there, behind this corner guard, behind that rock rolled over a little bit. You could actually lie 2 behind the corner guard.
Same thing, you just have to hit the same shot, yeah.
Well, that was the extra bonus. You could come around anyways, but right now it is the red stone that is shot rock.
Could have come around the corner before, but she playing her freeze. Nothing was wrong with that. But this is a great opportunity. You just ignore this completely and you go over to the other side. That's why you wanted that red rock back a little bit further, but you can still get another rock in there, and you could be lying 2 behind the corner. Just not knowing, that's all.
Yukako Tsuchiya. Right down on the corner is what they'd like.
She's got great line here. She gets the perfect freeze. She got it behind.
If they brushed it a little more and taken it back, it actually would be even harder for Kelly Scott.
They'll learn. They're a young team. They have no experience, and This is a pretty easy run back. If you'd gone in behind the other corner guard, boy, Kelly's shot was a lot more difficult. Now she'll run her own onto that. It's just not knowing.
There you go.
So the chance for Kelly Scott and the Canadian team in their opener to run Japan out of stones here in this 10th.
Yep. Clean. Yep. Yep.
Well, we're right in behind the sheet. She threw it pretty straight.
Yep.
Perfect shot, I think.
Clean. Right up. Right up.
Angle it back, and there it goes. And Canada will be given credit for one more shot stone, biting the edge of the 8. It'll go into the book as a 6-2 win for Canada here in their opener in Grande Prairie at the 2006 Ford Worlds.
The 2006 Ford World Women's Curling Championship on TSN is brought to you by Ford, built for life in Canada.
Well, Japan opened with the hammer, and they traded singles. And look at the steals for Canada, 1 in 4, another in 5, and then 2 more in 9 and 10. And it's a 6-2 win for Kelly Scott. Time to check the game story, brought to you by the Strauss Herb Company. Trust the tradition.
Well, it was interesting, Vic, because it was a story about getting a rock into position and guarding, and that led to steals in the 4th and 5th ends, a big pivotal time in the game. Japan made a nice hit against 5. This young lady can throw lash. She doesn't seem to be bothered by the pressure. All the Canadians over 80%. Kelly Scott at 90%. It was a dominating performance as far as execution goes by Canada.
Oil and natural gas. That's what you'll find up here in the northwest part of Alberta. We're in Grande Prairie for this year's Ford World Women's Curling Championship. And in our game, the Canadians win 6-2. Time for the key shot, brought to you by Ford, built for life in Canada.
Well, the most pressure that Canada faced was actually very early. Second end, Japan with some nice execution. They were sitting 3, and it is a hit for Kelly Scott against those 3 rocks. Has to get a little roll to get shot rock. She does it. And from then on, Canada really dominated the game.
So the Canadians open with a win, and coming up later, it's going to be the reigning world champion, Olympic gold medal winner, Annette Norberg from Sweden.
The 2006 Ford World Women's Curling Championship on TSN is brought to you by M&M Meat Shops. Hundreds of meal ideas, one aisle. By Tim Hortons Roll Up the Rim to Win. And by Strauss Herb Company.
All the games are final now in this first draw of women's play here in Grande Prairie, and Dorothy Nordby is a 5-3 winner. Annette Norberg beats Andrea Schopp in a battle of world champions 8-7. Kelly Scott wins her first. She steals 4 points, 6-2, and that's the difference. And the U.S., the former champion Debbie McCormick from Madison, is an 8-1 winner over Switzerland. We're back with you at 9 Eastern Time. Scott will play Annette Norberg. So till then, on behalf of Linda and Ray and our entire crew, thanks for joining us. The Ford Women's World Curling Championships are here on Canada's sports leader, TSN.